evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Live with me, Jonny Lipsham, here at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk in the southeast area of Scotland. Scotland, of course, being the capital of literally everything, even down to the molecular level. Anyway, I hope everybody is doing all right and has had a great weekend. It's been a really good weekend. It's been a gloriously beautiful weekend here. It's been very warm, very sunny. We bought last week we bought some new garden furniture. We've been in this house for 3 years and we have not bought garden furniture, so it was about time that we did. And especially with the weather that we've had recently, it's turned out to be an excellent purchase. So we had barbecue yesterday, and we had the fire pit, which we bought as well, and it was just perfect, absolutely perfect. Today a little bit chillier, but certainly a very, very, very nice weekend after the pretty much 2 weeks of torrential rain, thunderstorms. Yeah, I'll take the sunshine and the warmth and having the barbecue outside any day. So that's been the story of my weekend. I hope you guys have likewise had a great weekend. Let's see who is here. We don't have many people here yet, but hopefully we will fill up as we go, because that tends to be what happens. We tend to get to like 25 or so people as we go. So Billy Morgan was first in the door, followed by Christina over in Denmark, and Ron Figura, and Tony Stringer is here. Chris Manrachner is also here. Kyle is here. Just Bob is also here, and Stephen Wilson is here too, and Bobby Booth is here, and Lowends is here. Hello, mate. Good to see you. Don Oliver is here. Simon Carpenter is here. Paul Morgan is also here, and we have the awesome Rich Cresswell here as well. Now, I don't often single people out, but I'm going to single out Rich for just a minute. Rich has developed some absolutely outstanding sound sets for Studio One. And he's just launched a website called the S1 Box, which Rich, please do post a link to that in the chat so that everybody can go check it out. He's just released these, and I rather suspect there is more of this awesomeness to come. So I would be absolutely delighted to promote the living poop out of S1 Box, because I think the content that Rich has provided is exceptional. Really, really exceptional. He put in an awful lot of work into it, and it is well worth going and checking out. Now, from my look at s1box.com, the stuff that is there, the sound sets that are there, are free. However, and this is really important, there is a link there to buy me a coffee for Rich. So if you get one of those sound sets, go and donate. Go and buy Rich a coffee. Just do it as part of getting the sound sets, all right? Because for as much as he's put them all up for free, I really do think that for the amount of effort and time and the I mean really, really exceedingly high standard of quality of these sound sets, that you really should buy him a coffee at the very least, because they are exceedingly worth it. Rich says you can go look at the site. No products uploaded to it yet, but you can go to... Okay, so there's nothing there as yet. So the products are yet to come, it would seem. Okay, so I am incorrect. Sorry about that, Rich. But yes, so the site is launched. Go take a look, and I guess the products will be up there very soon. Definitely check them out. And I would suggest bookmark that site as well, so that you can go back and when he releases the products, you can go check them out and download them. And like I said, hit that buy him a coffee thing. Okay, be honest, I don't know how the whole buy me a coffee thing works. I know a lot of people that use it, and but yeah, I don't really know anything about it. But for sure, everything that Rich puts out is of exceedingly high standard and high quality, and so he deserves every cent. So please do go check those out. Bobby says that he doesn't use sound sets. Bobby, you're a mixing engineer, so really these kind of don't really necessarily apply to you, and that's okay. So definitely. Rich says, seriously, go take a look. The product pages are up. Yes, the product pages are up, and it does look absolutely fantastic. So I'm very, very excited to see the future of s1box.com. I think it's going to be very, very cool. And the products, like I said, I've already had a little bit of a foretaste of what these are like, because I actually saw Rich actually developing these sounds. So I know how good these are. So you're going to love them. So yeah, go check those out. Like I said, I don't normally single people out particularly, but I'm singling Rich out. So because I want to see this take off. For absolute sure. All right, so welcome everybody to Sunday Night Live. So if you have a question, John Hathaway is here, by the way. I didn't mention him. Sorry, John. So if you have a question regarding Studio One that you would like answered by me or by the folks here in the chat, because if they have an answer, they will put the answer in as well. But if particularly you have a question that you would like me to answer, please do two things. First of all, make sure you're subscribed, because you're not going to be able to ask a question without that. So make sure you're subscribed. Then after about 2 minutes after you've subscribed, the chat will be available and you can ask your question. Now, you will see what Ron Figura has just done in asking a question. He typed at Jonny Lipsham Studios. Please do that, because what that does for me, you don't see it, but what it does for me in the chat is I see my name highlighted in red, and then I know that that's a question. And I can just basically pick that out from the general conversation that you guys are having in the chat. So please do that. And I said do. My goodness, I'm too immature. But before I get to Ron Figueroa's question, Just Bob actually emailed me a question. See, there's another way in which you can do it. So if you want to email me a question, go down there. And there's my website right there, jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk. Type that into the browser. Open a new tab. Don't leave the show. Just open a new tab. Type that in there, and then on the website you'll see that there is a Contact Us link. Click on that, and it will scroll down to where the contact form is, and you can fill out the contact form there, and that will send an email to my inbox and ask you a question. Or if you have like a much broader subject that you would like me to cover on a Sunday Night Live to do with Studio One, like maybe you've got questions about the basics of compression, or you've got questions about EQ, or you've got questions about panning, stuff like that, anything. If you want a particular subject covered in a little bit more depth on a show, then please do just drop me an email and we'll make it happen. But you've got to be here to see it, okay? So that's the other way that you can do it. So let's go and look at this question from Bob, and he says, I was wondering if Studio One is compatible with Linux. We know it works with Windows and Mac. Are there limitations such as updates, compatibility, download, and download general use Studio One? It's a good question, and the answer, you are in luck, because right now we are running a public beta for Studio One on Linux. So how do you get involved? How do you get involved? Okay, there is fortunately a very, very easy way to do this because it's a public beta, which means anybody can go and do this. So if you have a Linux machine, there are two things you need to do. The first thing you need to do is download the installer. But there is a knowledge base article which is probably just as important, which I'm going to go and pull up for you, because this knowledge base article is really, really important. And if you just give me 1 second, I'm going to go find it. Here it is. And I'm going to put a link to this in the chat. So let's copy that. Go back to the live stream chat. Okay, there is the link to the knowledge base article that I'm about to show you. And here it is. And you'll see it in knowledge base persona, Studio One 6, Studio One technical support, and there it is, Linux getting started. So there are a few things you need to do. Please note that this is provided for plugin developers and advanced Linux users. If you haven't successfully set up a Linux system, including a fully functional jack audio server, please do so first, and then you may proceed. Studio One needs to be activated with a MyPersonas account and a license to run on Linux, same as on Windows and on Mac OS. However, please note that Personas does not provide any Linux-related support until further notice. Why? Because it's in beta, okay? Whilst it is in beta, there is no technical support for Studio One on Linux, okay? There is a user forum to discuss Linux-related topics, and you can get help from other folks there as well. So don't make a support ticket if you have a problem with Studio One on Linux. Go and post your issue in the forum right there. Personas developers monitor that forum, so if you're reporting a bug, they will pick that up. But if you're also struggling to get set up, there are folks there that can help you. So there's a little list here of features that are currently unavailable on Linux. So the CD burning, DDP import and export, so that's on the project page, video support, score printing, Rex file support, international text input, so basically any other language other than English, Thunderbolt support for Personas hardware, so bear that in mind if you have one of the, sorry, I've got a really itchy nose. If you've got one of the Thunderbolt interfaces, either the Quantum Thunderbolt interfaces from Personas or another Thunderbolt device, no go for Personas hardware. Sorry, it's exclusively for Personas hardware. So if you've got one of the Quantum Thunderbolts, it's not going to work with Linux. Advanced Personas hardware integration, so preamp control and stuff like that, which you get on Studio Live mixers and the Studio 192, and I think the Quantums as well, and even the new Quantums actually. That's not going to work. No Melodyne, third-party plugin GUIs. There are some third-party plugin GUIs which definitely won't work. Linux specific plugin formats. Due to Mutter bugs, Studio One crashes in various places when running in GNOME. Please use another compositor until Mutter fix is available. And then there's a little list here of known issues. Opening the manual will throw a permission denied error. Please use the online manual instead. Graphics are distorted when using LLMV pipe. And then there's a link here if you're a plugin developer where you can make plugin GUIs ready for use on Studio One on Linux. So Studio One 6.6 improvements, native support for Wayland plugin views needs implementation by the plugin developer. OpenGL ES2 support, and the expiration date is now New Year's Eve. And I suspect that that expiry date will keep being moved forward until this is no longer in beta, and then it'll be in public release. So, important thing here, system requirements. Ubuntu 24.04 LTS requires Vulkan 1.1 or OpenGL ES2 compatible graphics driver. you must have Wayland. So Wayland, Studio One is a Wayland application and won't run in an X11 session. Wayland is a display server protocol, yada, yada, yada. You need to do that. And then if you have issues with Wayland, you need to copy this into the terminal. Vulkan, you need to do all of that. So this is a very, very thorough article and gives you everything you need to get going with Studio One on Linux. So this is pretty good. It's still in, like I say, it's still in beta. So there are some issues. There are some things that don't work and some things that are not fully finished or fully fleshed out yet. But, you know, as with anything with beta, it's, you know, it's a constant development. It's a constant work in progress until such time as we are ready to go into full public release mode. All right, so I hope that helps answer that question. It is a great question. Thank you for emailing that to me, Bob. I appreciate that. All right, so Ron says, can you explain how sound sets work? I know nothing about them and how to use them. Well, if you are using Presence or Impact or Mai Tai or any of the native Studio One instruments, they all use sound sets. What are sound sets? Sound sets is the file type that basically contains the instrument sounds and that kind of thing. So Rich will be able to give you a lot more detail on this, seeing as he's actually developed sound sets. But basically that's what they are. In a nutshell, they run inside of an instrument, a virtual instrument like Presence and Mai Tai and Impact and all of that. But that's essentially what they are. So if you are a member of Studio One Plus, pretty much every month there are new sound sets that are released to the members, and you can download these. And really, there's not a whole lot to installing sound sets for Studio One. It's pretty straightforward. You download the installer, you drag and drop the installer onto the start page of Studio One, and that's it. It will automatically install to its correct location, and all the presets will go into the instrument that they are designed to be a part of. Or if there are loops, then the loops will be in the loops folder in the browser. And then you can audition those. You can drag and drop them straight into Studio One. You can do whatever you need to do. And then to access these sound sets that are not loops, like they are presets for Presence, for example, you just drag in Presence and you click on where it says default, and then you'll see the drop down for everything there. So that's essentially, so if you're using Presence, you're using sound sets. You maybe just don't know that that's what they're called, but that's what they are, okay? It's a good question. Let's see. And you want me to show it in Studio One. Okay, I can do that. Give me 1 second. So over here in Studio One, for example, I am using in my theme tune music. I am using my Nord for the piano, but I'm using the flugelhorn sound and the upright bass sound from Presence. So let's go and look at those. And there it is. I've never heard a flugelhorn go that low. And I'm using the particular variation of flugelhorn that has the vibrato on it. Is there a way to see where the sound sets are being used, specific engines, instruments? Well, these are being used in Presence, but you'll find that there are other instruments that have other things in them. Like Mai Tai basically is a synth. It's an analog synth, and it has its own set of presets. Mojito is also another analog synth modeled thing that has its own set of presets. But all of these are sound sets. Okay, so there are sound sets for presence, there are sound sets for Mai Tai, there are sound sets for Mojito, there are sound sets for impact. So anytime you use one of those instruments, you are using a sound set for that instrument. So this is the Flugelhorn preset, which comes from the Presence XT core sound sets. I think it comes from the XT brass sound set. And they're basically all inside of Presence, and then you just go up to here and you select the sound you want. So in this case, I'm using brass, Flugelhorn, Flugelhorn vibrato. I could use Flugelhorn full, and then that would have access to different sound variations and key switches, but I'm just using the vibrato one for this one. Rich says, if you want to find the sound sets, he's right here. He says, go to browser files, sound sets. You will see the blue icons. You can open these like folders and you'll see what's inside them. Yes, so you can actually see where they are installed on your computer if that's what you're asking. But if you're asking, kind of, what they are and where, what instruments they are for, yeah, that's kind of how that works. So I've got the Flugelhorn there, and then I've got the upright bass here, and there are some key switches / sound variations for this. So there's hammer-ons, there's pull-offs, there's left-hand mute, and then there's a slap as well. Slap is pretty cool. Yes, you can slap an upright bass. If you play bluegrass music or skiffle, you will be doing or like early 50s rock and roll, you'll be doing a lot of slapping. And basically, instead of plucking the string, you tap the string so the string hits the fingerboard, and then you can also pull the strings as well so that they snap back onto the fingerboard of an upright bass. It doesn't sound like slapping on an electric bass where the string hits the frets. And that's what makes the slapping sound on an electric bass like Mark King, somebody like that, sound so unique, is that the string actually hits the fret, either when you're slapping the string with your thumb or you're pulling it with your finger. So how can I find Rich's specifically? Well, once Rich has released his sound sets to S1 Box, you'll be able to download the installers from there to your downloads folder, and then unless I'm very much mistaken, Rich, you can just drag and drop onto the start page for Studio One, and then they will be installed to the instruments that they are made for. I'm pretty sure that that Rich will have instructions on how to download and how to install on his website when they are ready. Rich says they should be up tomorrow your time, round about dinner time. Awesome. There you go. There you go. Billy says it's funner to drug him in. Yes, you and your ancient past participles. You said drag and drop in the start page. Can you demo that in Studio One? Well, I need to have a sound set that I've not yet installed, so you're going to have to give me a minute to sort that out, because I have to go and find something that I have not yet installed in order to do that. So give me just 1 second. I'm going to go to products, and I'm going to see what I haven't yet installed that I might actually like to. Okay. How about this? The Funky Drummer. 8,616 samples of funky drums. You get grooves and fills in multi-track submixes, complete mixes. Multi-tracks include ring mic and mono overhead, so you can dial in roots. So those are going to be loops. So maybe not that. I don't think that I have necessarily anything that's not just a loop, because what I really want is something that's an actual preset. Something that's an actual sound set, rather, I should say, that I can just drag and drop in that I don't have yet. And I'm searching through all my stuff. I'm trying to see if I can find something that is actually just a sound set. I think I already have this. I'm trying to find something that is just a sound set and not just a loop thing. I mean, I'll demonstrate this with just a loop, just for the sake of time. But it's essentially the same process. Okay, so let's take let me find something that we can use. All right. So, for example, let's take this. Jazz Pulse, 4,096 samples of jazz drums at varying tempos and intensities, including brushwork on snare, which is great for a lot of people that want brushes on snare. You have no idea how many times I've been asked about why Impact doesn't have any brushes. Because they just don't. Work fast with premix samples or mix your own from the multi-tracks. You even get cool lo-fi room mic, all samples tempo labeled and royalty free. All right. I don't think I've ever used this. Let's check out the demo. And you can hear the brushes there a little bit. All right, so let's download this. And this is going to go to my downloads folder. So I'm going to save that. And then we're going to watch this do its thing. This looks like it might take its time because it's like 6 gigs worth of stuff. I had to go and pick the one that's probably going to take the freaking longest to do. I probably should have picked something that takes a lot less time. Let's go and cancel that. Let's find something that is going to take a lot less time to do. Let's see. This is, by the way, this is all the stuff that you get inside of Studio One Plus. So finding something that really doesn't have a lot of content is... Oh, look, there's pedal steel. If you're into pedal steel, there's pedal steel now. I've got some of these ones already. And I've got Thunder Road, Culture Box. I've got those. I've already installed those. I don't think I ever did anything with this. Yeah, this is a small one. Royalty-free, mid-90s West Coast hip-hop. I'm never, ever going to use this. But the interesting thing is this here. Hip-hop construction kits plus 5 Impact XT kits suitable for rolling up on a party, yada, yada, yada. So let's download this because this shouldn't take very long. So that's going to my downloads folder. And as we can see here, it's just going to take a matter of seconds. This is much more like it. And there we are, done. So I'm going to open the folder. I'm going to locate the sound set. And then we're going to go back onto the Studio One start page. So let me just drag this across here. So here's my downloads folder. There's the SoCal Sizzle sound set. And what I want to do, let's move this over here a little bit. And we're going to literally just drag and drop just like that. And it's done. It's installed. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll do new song. And then what we'll do is we'll go and open Impact. And we should find that we have SoCal Sizzle. There it is. So let's go and open this kit. Let's see what we have. So in theory, if you have something like the Atom, you can just use this to basically perform a piece of music using all of these loops that are mapped to these pads. But you've got some nice sounding samples. So yes, Ron. So yes, anywhere on the start page. You just literally saw me do it. If necessary, just wind back the stream so you can see exactly what I did. But essentially, you just drag and drop it from the downloads folder to anywhere on the start page. Now, what Studio One does in the background that you don't see is if you go to Studio One options or preferences on a Mac and you go to locations, then you click on sound sets, you will see this is where it's going to store your sound sets, or in any of these locations that you have mapped. So in this case, these are going to document Studio One sound sets. Okay, so that's where I will now find these files if I need to. If I need to, for example, let's say I'm having a problem with one of them and I need to uninstall it, I can go to the location where these are, which is Document Studio One sound sets. I can open up that folder and I can just uninstall the sound set. And then I can reinstall it and then see if the issue still persists. So that's where everything is being stored. So when you drag and drop from your downloads folder onto the start page of Studio One, this is where they go. They go to the destination that you have set right here. Okay, so I'm going to cancel that because we don't need to do that. What are construction kits and how do you use them? Okay, what I just showed you here is a construction kit. It's called a construction kit because basically you can, you can And so you can, I'm pretty uncoordinated with actually playing these construction kits, but basically that's what you can do. And whatever you want to do. But that's what a construction kit is. It's a kit built in Impact that has different parts of the piece that are all broken up, and then you can play them in whatever order you want. I thought construction kits you had to somehow build your own drum synth. No, they are basically already built. Let's try a different one. And let's see what we've got in this one. Okay, let's go see what we have in this one. Okay, this one's a bit different. And so on and so forth. You can have loads and loads of fun with these. Now, like I said, there are loops as well. I just have to go and find those. There we go, SoCal Sizzle. So let's get out of that and let's open up this one here. Now, you can see here, I've actually got quite a few different loops and things. So I could just, I could build like a completely different piece of music, basically using this construction kit. I like this little groove here, but I also like this little guitar loop. So I could just create something completely brand new. Let's get the pre-count on, just because it would be useful. And then, where would be one? All right, so I like that. And then what we'll do is put this into this view. Now what we'll do is because I think I started this just a tiny bit late. So we'll just select that and not press that. There we go. Let's get a loop going, shall we? And then we can just add to this. We can, you know, we've got our nice little guitar grooves here. We can add some Fender Rhodes. We could add some bass. We could do all sorts of things with this. So yeah, I could totally expand this little loop out. I could either find some other loops, or I could just just record something myself. So for example, I could go and grab we could grab presence, and we could go grab a bass, and we could go for, I don't know, bit of 6-string. Why not? Don't want reverb on the bass. And this is all in, I think this is all in D sharp, E flat. Actually, it's not in D sharp, it's in F. And so on and so forth. So you could have like endless fun just building up different loops. Now, obviously, I've used different loops from different loop libraries that I've got from Studio One Plus, but this is the value of Studio One Plus. There's an absolute megaton of loops in different styles, different genres. There's jazz stuff, there's EDM stuff, there's hip hop stuff, there's loads and loads and loads that you can just play with to your heart's content and build something up like this. So construction kits, Rich is right here, says construction kits is basically a combination of loops, sound effects, hits, and sounds. It's like a soundboard for music creation. Exactly. So if you have something like an Atom or an Atom SQ, then playing the different sounds and coming up with a combination is going to be very, very cool for you, very useful. I've seen Gregor do this, where he's actually used two atoms actually, in conjunction, using different construction kits on the two atoms and then playing the two together at the same time. It's extremely impressive watching him work like that. But they are very, very cool. Chris says, well, there you go. I just threw my hip out. That's funny, Chris. I'm sorry if you have done that. But I'm glad I got you up and dancing, because that's good cardiovascular exercise. So yes, so those are the construction kits. And like I said, a lot of the kits and a lot of the sound sets that you find in Studio One Plus, they have either loops like the guitar ones that I just showed you, or they might have loops plus construction kits like the jazz ones. Some of them might actually have an impact kit that gives you some brush samples and things like that you can actually build your own grooves, your own parts and things like that with. So that's essentially how those things work. And yes, I was getting somewhat sidetracked and distracted, but it's a great question. Hang on just a second. I don't know why that got deleted, but anyway. Let's see. Neil says, hello, Neil. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here, mate. He says, I was supposed to go out and practice tonight, but my musical partner cancelled just before I was going to leave. Blag. Nice to be here, though. Hello to all the people. Like this live stream. Yes! Thank you. Please do like the live stream. It helps me out a lot if you do that. I would definitely appreciate it. So we got like 19, I think we peaked at 22 so far. So yes, please do like the stream if you're enjoying the content. So Neil says, tonight's show features no illnesses or weather threats. No, although I am very congested. See, this is the problem. I don't talk about my health a lot, but kind of a year ago, so basically last summer. And in fact, it started much earlier than that. It started maybe last March. I think I had maybe mentioned to you guys that I had something called cellulitis, which, by the way, I would not wish on my worst enemy, because cellulitis is perhaps one of the most awful and painful things that you could ever have. And this is my second go with cellulitis. I had it 10 years ago, and then I had it last year in kind of March. And here's the thing with it. My left leg swelled up to practically twice its size. And it's, if you're eating, I'm sorry, I don't want to put you off, but it started oozing pus and things like that. So I went to hospital maybe 3 or 4 times. I was in and out of hospital for the better part of from March all the way through until August last year, whilst they tried to figure out what was going on. And I was in hospital in August, and they did a whole bunch of tests. I went to see a blood specialist because they were concerned that I had blood problems, and they needed to identify what that was. So they put me through a whole bunch of tests, and they took some blood samples as well. And I think after like maybe 48 hours, because they rushed the blood samples through the lab to basically get the results pretty quickly because they were very concerned. It turns out I was diagnosed in August with a condition called chronic venous insufficiency. So what does this mean? I'm not a medical expert. I'm not a doctor. My wife is a midwife, and that's about as close as we get to medical expertise in this family. But essentially, chronic venous insufficiency basically means that veins in your body stop working, and it's a progressive condition. So there is no cure for it. There is pretty good treatment, though. It is not life-threatening, but it certainly can be life-limiting. And so I am on medication for my blood, and I'm on, I have to wear a compression stocking to basically help the blood flow from my leg, in particular my left leg, so that there's proper circulation and I don't get necrosis, basically. So there are surgical things that can be done as well to basically replace veins that no longer function. And so we're basically trying to prevent, trying to not go down that road, because surgery is, it's pretty invasive. It's not very nice. So I'm basically trying to avoid that. And so, yeah. See, what this condition does is, especially with the medication, is that it messes with your immunity. And so I am much more susceptible to things like colds, flu, and yes, even COVID. Whilst COVID basically is still doing its rounds, which it will do probably for the next 100 years. So I'm much more susceptible to those kind of things. So I will basically have a cold, get rid of it. A few weeks later, I might pick up another cold or another strain of flu or something like that. So yes, I'm a little bit immunocompromised. So yeah, my health has pretty much sucked for the last 18 months. It's been pretty awful. But thank you very much, everybody, for your concerns and for your kindness and for your patience with me. Whilst I've sometimes been completely unable to do a show because my health has just been too bad. And yeah, I have good days, I have bad days. Sometimes my leg swells up again and I have to go back to my bed and have my leg elevated and stuff like that. So, and through spring and summer last year, you kept on doing the live streams. Most times you kept on doing both shows. Yes, I did. I kept going. Because I kind of needed to. I kind of needed to because I needed to kind of prove to myself that I could still do it. And I was not going to let my illness defeat me. And I won't let my illness defeat me. It may ultimately defeat me, but for right now, I'm doing everything I possibly can to basically slow the progression of the condition down, and hopefully everything will be fine, and I will live until I'm, 906. And me and Chris Maragna will be the last people standing, probably, with Keith Richards. So that's kind of my aim, is just to kind of keep going. And so there were a couple of times where I had to just not do a show because I was just too unwell. And so in the future, that may happen a little bit more frequently where I might not be able to do anything. So I thank you in advance for your patience going forward as this condition progresses. But hopefully we can keep the progression nice and slow. I have to basically be reviewed. I have to go through a whole bunch of tests. I have to go back to hospital every 6 months, and I have to be reviewed every 6 months. And so they go through the same set of tests they did last summer. And I do that every 6 months. And my last review, they were actually pleased with my progress. Basically, they were saying, you know what, the numbers are looking actually pretty good. And, most of the swelling, if not all of the swelling in my left leg has gone down back to its normal size. And, so they were happy with my blood flow. My blood flow is not too terribly bad. It's not great. I am basically at what they call stage 3.5. There's like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. Stage 4 is serious, man. Stage 4 is very serious. And I'm at like stage 3.5. And they're basically trying to keep me at stage 3.5 for the foreseeable future. That's basically what we're trying to do. But, I will get to stage 4, but we're just basically trying to push stage 4 off way, 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 way into the future, like past my retirement age, basically. And of course, here in the UK, we have something called the National Health Service, which is basically a universal healthcare system, and it's fantastic. And I am receiving the best healthcare for my condition that you could possibly get, because I'm actually working with somebody who is actually one of the world's foremost experts on chronic venous insufficiency. So I scored pretty good with being able to get this particular person, and she is awesome. She will remain nameless, but she is absolutely fantastic. Couldn't be happier. All right, so I think right after this show, we've got the New Orleans Studio One meetup, which is going to be pretty awesome and epic. So if you want to continue and you still have Studio One questions, normally we'd have an after show Zoom hangout, but we will all pile over to Billy's New Orleans meetup instead. So if you still have questions that you want to get answered, I'm happy to hang out there for at least a little while. I have to work tomorrow, so I can't hang out for too terribly long. But anyway, one thing I forgot to mention. I got the light working again. The last several months, I've not had it working, and I didn't know why it stopped working, so I just kind of assumed it was broken, but I got it working again, which is weird. Anyway, there we go. Thank you very much, everybody, for all of your support and for liking the show. I appreciate it. And we will be back on Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified. So if you have questions about songwriting, composing, arranging, lyric writing, music theory, you got questions about those kind of things, we can get them in the chat on Wednesday. Or, like I said, you can go down to the web address down there and you can use the contact form and you can send me an email with, like, for example, if you've got something that's a little bit more in-depth, a little bit more detailed kind of question. Long form questions are best done via email. So if you've got that, then please do email that to me. I will hold on to it until Wednesday, and I will start the show with email questions, a little bit like I did tonight. So until then, folks, I will see you over at the New Orleans Studio One meetup. All right, folks, good night. Thanks for coming.